You Well, I avoided grass last time. Guess I'm gonna touch water in every Mario game now. That sounds fantastic. 5 hour of gaming later. Alright, the script is done. I'm gonna see if George wants to cameo in the video. Let me see what he's up to on Twitter. Well, in that case, I hate water. Water's the worst. No one likes this. In Super Mario Bros., you can't beat this game without touching water. You can get all the way to 8-4, only to go down a pipe and then get absolutely bamboozled. For the lost levels, I'm gonna have to pull out the stunts to avoid water. Remember that dumbass strategy from last time where in 1-2 I have to go in a very specific pipe? Well, I gotta do that again, but then play all the way to World 5-2. In this level, I have to hit this block to open up a vine, and that takes us to World 8. And let's keep in mind how annoying this game is to play. It takes a lot of effort to get to 8-4, but I finally did it. I'm almost at the end. I just gotta... Oh, okay. The Imposter Mario Bros. 2 also has water, but luckily it's only in the form of waterfalls. As long as I jump around them, I can avoid it entirely. For the first level, I have to avoid the cave section because there's a waterfall that covers most of the screen. In 1-3, I have to take this potion all the way to the end here to be able to access the warp to World 4. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hello? That's ice you're touching. Ice is water. Well, guess what, pal? Ice and water have different names for a reason, so therefore, I'm allowed to touch ice and snow. Take that. In 4-2, though, there's another warp we can take to go to World 6, and lucky for us, there is no more water for the rest of the game, and we can feed Wart as many veggies as we want. The warp whistles in Mario Bros. 3 are going to be pretty useful for avoiding water. We have to get the first one by kneeling on this white block for 8 years, then the other one by flying up this random wall, and with the whistles, we can warp to World 8, and there's no water for the rest of the game. Super Mario Land is in black and white still, just like last time. And once you get to 2-3, we're forced into a submarine and we're touching the water. Well, the submarine is technically touching the water, but you know what? I still failed at life. Look at that puddle of water in the overworld. Guess I'll just go to the right. It's not like there could be another puddle. For Super Mario Land 2, we have no choice but to play all the levels to get to the end, which includes Turtle Zone, so might as well get eaten alive and just accept our fate. Super Mario 64 is by far the easiest game to avoid water in. As we all know, I'm really good at splicing someone else's footage and proving how amazing I am at performing the lobby BLJ to get the first key. And then there's the stairs BLJ for the second key, and we're basically done, all without any water. Can someone give me a clap for my efforts? Thanks, Jorts. Super Mario Sunshine. Yep, that's a lot of water right there. And the flood pack, yep, that shoots water. And when I shoot water out of the flood pack, look at those little bits of water hitting me. Damn it. Back to the 2D games. New Super Mario Bros. Definitely has water, but I can take a warp cannon from one tower to get to World 5, and then another cannon from 5 Ghost House to World 8. And this is a lava world, so we should be good to finish the game. Cool. Okay, so this is actually an interesting one. Super Mario Galaxy has a lot of water, but in most cases, we can avoid it. I had to scrub through a lot of my old footage, but it turns out you can actually beat the entire game without touching water. If you don't believe me, well, do it yourself, you coward. Go on, I'm waiting. With new soup on the Wii, you can just take a warp cannon to World 1, World 5, and this alternate exit in A2 in order to avoid all the water. Mario Galaxy 2 is a more linear game, and I hate it for that reason, because Fluffy Bluff Galaxy has a part where you have no choice but to take a bath in this water. But hey, there's always Super Mario 3D Land, which is basically God's greatest gift. Oh. Now, I know you're all dying to know, but yes, new Super Mario Bros. 2 does indeed have warp cannons. Yep, you're welcome for that amazing revelation, but none of them will be helpful for us, so we just have to pray that we can get to the end safely and stinky. Really? You couldn't have jumped over that? That puddle's straight up like 4 inches long, what the heck? New Super Mario Bros. U was a pain to figure out because there's a lot of water and a lot of secret exits, but you can actually get through the entire game. It just takes a while. I think I should get another clap for all that work. Thanks, Nico BBQ. And then we've got Mario 3D World, another game with 2 super lame warp exits, and we end up stuck in front of 3-5. We all know Mario Odyssey has water in the Cascade Kingdom, but did you know that while jumping near the water, there's little driplets of water coming from the ground? What a neat detail, Nintendo. I hate you. And then there's Bowser's Fury. Wow, that's every mainline Mario game, but I don't think you're convinced that I really hate water. So I'm gonna keep going for the sake of more what? You guys remember Super Mario Maker? Of course you do. You're watching a guy avoiding water in Mario games and you're 5 minutes into it, fully committed. What's wrong with you? This game's pretty easy though. Just build a level without water. I know, crazy idea. And we can do the same thing for Super Mario Maker 2 and the 3DS version. Wait a minute, why am I playing the 3DS version? Ah, good old Super Mario Run. I'm glad I picked this game as well, because it turns out there are no water levels in this one. Yippee-ki-yay! But now to Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. It's the same game as the original, except now I can watch my failure with 5x zoom on. But of course, there's Super Mario 64 DS, and the results you'd expect are actually quite different. There is no BLJs in this remake, which means that we have no way of getting the second Bowser key, because we need to enter Dire Dire Docks to do that, which, as you know, is a massive sauna of water. Last time we tried avoiding grass in Mario All-Stars, and you might think that we're gonna do that again, but with the 25th anniversary version on the Wii, but that's actually not the case. No, I'm diving into Super Mario Advance. Ha! Bet you didn't see that one coming, did you? Like with the original, you can beat this game as well using the exact same strategies, but Mario talks to you the whole time for fun. Super Mario Advance 2, nothing has changed from before. I run into the water tunnel and I touch freaking water. Mario Advance 3. Okay, this is actually different because it's not really a Mario game, but it kind of says it is. Anyway, there's no warps in Yoshi's Island, so I can only go until I run into a water level, which doesn't last long. At 1-8, there's a fish that spits water at us. Ah, finally, Super Mario Advance 4. We use the same strategies as the original game. Wow. Oh, but I'm not done yet, because there's a lot of Mario Kart games out there, and I'm only going to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I decided to pick Rainbow Road, seeing as there's a good chance we won't touch water in this one, and guess what? I was right. And I'm still not done yet. There's a lot of Mario Party games out there too, and I'm only going to play Mario Party Superstars. The fastest way to avoid water is to go to Mount Minigames, select this particular minigame, and then just play it. Well, that's about it, at least for now. I might be back to avoid touching lava or sand or something like that. I don't know yet. Bye. Thank You could say I'm on YouTube a lot, and this goofy video about touching grass in every Mario game kept showing up in my recommendations, so I finally decided to click on it, and it was actually really great. He was talking about how people keep telling him to touch grass, and the man just gave in. He gave in to the people. Like, he literally touched grass in like 17 Mario games. Well, guess what, jorts? I don't give in to these people, and you shouldn't either. So to help redeem you, I'm gonna play every Mario game and avoid the grass as long as possible. That's right, I'm standing up for the greater good, because that grass. I'm allergic to cut grass. Probably. My nose gets kind of sniffly. So, starting with Super Mario Bros., there's grass in 1-3. Now, obviously, we don't want to touch that crap because, remember I said I'm allergic to grass? Remember that? So, we just need to skip to 4-1 and we can avoid it entirely. Then in 4-2, there's another skip that takes us to 8-1. I'm sure you guys know this. And you might also see these trees, but guess what? Bushes aren't grass, and they're in the background, so don't even try testing me, mister. It doesn't count. It does not count. And just like that, we can make it all the way to the end of the game. Now, isn't that so cool? Anyway, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. You might think I would just hit this hidden block to climb a vine to skip to World 3. Well, I can't do that because there's grass, so god damn it. There's a warp you can take to World 2 as well, but that's kind of lame because you can actually warp to World 4, and it's about the most cryptic thing I've ever heard of. So basically, you gotta jump into this pipe, but you can't go too far on the screen, and then you have have to make your way to the end. Then you'll hit these invisible blocks right over the death pit, and finally, you can enter World 4. And everything's fine until World 4-3, where we run into grass that we can't avoid. In Super Mario Bros. 2, we touch grass basically immediately. Super Mario Land is black and white, and I mean, let's just analyze the ground here. A straight line of black followed by a bunch of dots. The dots are clearly sand, and those are some palm trees right there. So, yep, this is definitely grass. Super Mario Bros. 3, not much better. Right into 1-2 and we hit the green stuff. With Super Mario World, we at least have 2 first levels to test. Yoshi's Island 1 has grass. Yoshi's Island 2 has grass. Super Mario Land 2 is normally in black and white, but I've got this deluxe version that's in color, so that's pretty cool. But in the first level, I touch grass, so that's not very cool. But hey, Super Mario 64, it's a 3D game. We can jump around all the grass, right? Well, nope, because Bob-omb Battlefield is covered in grass. But thankfully, this is Super Mario 64, and I can break the shit out of it. By doing this LBLJ that I definitely did not splice from a speedrun, I definitely didn't do that. You can't find a link to the speedrun in the description. I can make my way to Bowser in the dark way to get the first key. Then I just need to do this side BLJ, which once again, I totally didn't splice at all to get to Bowser in the Fire Sea. And once again, there's no grass in this level because Bowser burned it all, I bet. I mean, he breathes fire, probably burns grass. He's evil. After getting the second key, I can make my way to Bowser in the Sky, which once again doesn't have grass. And that's another game that can be beat without touching it. Wow. Super Mario Sunshine is another interesting one because there's not as much grass as you'd think. It's just a lot of sand, and there's a lot of shines you can collect too. The only issue is that to beat this game, you need to collect the 7th shine in every world. And in Bianco Hills, we're forced to touch the grass when going for the 3rd shine. Even if you hover above the cave, once you hit the loading zone, you also hit grass. New Super Mario Bros. 1-1 got grass. Damn. Super Mario Galaxy's got grass in the first stage, but I can avoid it, thankfully. As nice as those flowers look, I will not be tempted to stop and sniff them because I'm allergic to grass, like I said. But unfortunately, we touch grass once we have to catch the bunny. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, that's got grass on the first stage, and yeah, so does New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. U, New Super Luigi U, and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Super Mario Galaxy 2 has grass in the tutorial. Seriously, why do Mario games love grass so much? Super Mario 3D Land is no exception, but at least I can make a bit of progress. By jumping off this Goomba, I can avoid all the grass, and then jumping off this one lets me land on these blocks. From this block, I just have to wall jump my way to the top and land on the yellow edges, and from there, I can follow the outskirts of the stage, dip into the water, and actually get through 1-1. But I run into a problem with 1-4. Can you guess what it is? Yeah, I touch grass immediately. So I decided to use the warp entrance in 1-2 to get to World 2, but as soon as I entered 2-1, I ran into, you guessed it, more grass. Super Mario 3D World has multiple shades of grass. So, yay! Mario Odyssey was fine up until, the Cascade Kingdom. Got a little bit of grass just everywhere. And finally, there's Bowser's Fury. And I was actually feeling pretty darn good about this one. I made this pretty cool ground pound jump and wall jumped off this wall and avoided some grass that way. I managed to get the first cat shine. It was great. So maybe there's some hope this time. God damn it. And just like that, that is every single mainline Mario game. But why should I stop there? Because there's so many more I could try, you know? Like Super Mario All-Stars, the remake of the original 4 classic SMB titles. Maybe they changed the textures to not be grass in some levels, maybe. Except that they actually added grass in Super Mario Bros. 1. Well, that sucks. And they did the same thing with the Lost Levels, as well as Super Mario Bros. 2. But thank God, Super Mario Bros. 3 did not add grass to its first level. At least that has some dignity left. Until, 1-2, just like last time. But hey, that's okay. It's alright. There's always Super Mario 64 on the DS. Now, I might not be able to do BLJs anymore, but there's ways around it if you were to task the game. I made an entire video years ago about using up warps to get into the first Bowser level, but I feel like if we're going to use glitches, it needs to be able to be done by a human being and not a bot. So in that case, we just get stuck in Bob-omb Battlefield yet again. What other games? Oh, Donkey Kong! That's technically the first Mario game, right? There's no grass in any of those levels, so we can beat that game until we die of boredom, I guess. Oh, wait, there's Mario Bros. On the arcade. There's just a bunch of pipes and no grass. Yeah! Oh, and there's Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Yeah, that's a game we can also beat without touching grass, because it's literally just, you know, Super Mario Bros. On the NES, but the screen is zoomed in 5 times too big. I'd love to try Super Mario Bros. 35, but, well, you know. It's okay, there's always Mario Clash on the Virtual Boy. That one is kind of nice because it's all red and black and you're indoors the whole time, so we know that there's no glass. So, in conclusion, if you don't want to touch grass, you should live life to your fullest potential, whether it involves nature or not. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Oh, Waffle House, host something relatable and funny now. There we go, Waffle House.
Minecraft's drowned mob used to look like this. And did you know creepers used to camouflage? And these are 47 Minecraft mob facts you possibly didn't know. When the drowned was first added to Minecraft, it looked a lot different, since the original concept for the drowned mob had it looking like a half skeleton, half zombie mix, which is not only a lot creepier, but it also blends in pretty well with the dirt that you see at the bottom of the riverbed. Though I suppose it makes sense why it was changed, because this feels a little too gory for Minecraft. But it worked for the zombie pigmen, so who's to say? As of the snapshots for 1.19, we can now have 3 players riding in a boat. Since if you get the new camel mob inside of one of these boats, then you can have one of your friends steer, and then you and another friend holding onto the back. And at that point, it technically seats 4, because the camel gets to come along as well. And then if you get some parrots on your shoulders, then I guess even more friends could come along for the journey.
Unlike zombies, the husk can't transform into the drowned mob, but it can become a zombie. So by having a husk underwater for 30 seconds, it'll eventually turn into a zombie. And then after an additional 30 seconds, that same zombie will now be a drowned, meaning if you've got a minute to spare, you've got yourself a drowned.
While playing in peaceful mode, you won't see a lot of undead mobs, but 2 are still possible, those being the zombie horse and the skeleton horse mobs. However, to get these in the mode, you'd have to use the summon command. And at that point, is it even worth saying that these exist in peaceful mode? Because without operator commands, they really don't. You might not notice it now, but when creepers were first added to Minecraft, they were able to camouflage. And a lot of this is because the original creeper texture actually matched the alpha grass texture that we can see here. So when standing next to the standard foliage, these creepy mobs really did fade into the background. And that made it even tougher to try to pick one of these out during the early version. But as the textures got updated and the grass color maps changed, creepers stayed the same. And unfortunately for them, now they stick out like a sore thumb.
In the experimental snapshots for 1.20, typing in the command to summon a bat would get you this. The bat would be upside down even while floating in the air. And surprisingly, this odd behavior causes the mob to glitch out quite a bit, making bats even more useless than they already were.
If you're able to get up close and personal to a camel's nose, you'll notice that when you look at it dead on, it actually seems to match the texture of a wither skull, which with Minecraft's resolution, it's tough to tell if this was intentional or just about the only way that you can make a camel's nose look right. But intentional or not, it's still a fun Easter egg. The Rascal and the Tough Golem might not have won the mob vote, but they are still in Minecraft, because in Bedrock Edition, there was a special free skin pack that was added in that would let you choose between different clothings for the 12 different skin, including the Rascal, the Sniffer, and the Tough Golem. So it's a far cry from the mobs actually being in the game, but it's a lot better than some of the other mob vote losers got, so I guess you take what you get. If you listen closely to this sound that the fox makes, you'll notice that when the fox screeches, the first and third sound that it plays are actually the same, but the third sound effect is reversed with a lower pitch. And funnier still, the fox sounds actually never came from a real fox. They're just heavily edited sounds combined from dogs and cats.
Have you ever seen a fox with a beard? Well, don't say I didn't warn you, but if you were to get your fox to hold a wither skull in its mouth, then you'll notice that it looks like the fox has a beard. Or if that's not for you, then get it to hold a skulk sensor and that'll look like a goatee.
If we push this cat off a cliff, nothing happens. Thankfully so, otherwise it'd be a murderer. But the idea behind this is that cats tend to land on their feet, and that'd be why cats in Minecraft not only don't take fall damage, but even if they were to fall into a dripstone spike, they're still not gonna get hurt, which is a pretty sweet deal. It's hard to say I'm not jealous.
In 1.19, we have chickens that lay eggs, and in Minecraft 2.0, we've got chickens that lay diamonds. That's no joke, although it was meant to be. Back in April Fool's 2013, Mojang added this blue chicken to their fake snapshot that could lay diamonds and lapis lazuli, which sounds great, but be careful since these also had a tendency to explode explode.
By this point, everyone's familiar with the rarest mob in Minecraft. But this mob can also be very rare, considering that there's only a rare chance that an Arctic fox even spawns in a snowy taiga biome, and then add on to that another 5% chance of that fox being a baby variant, and it gets to the point where if you find one of these, buy a lottery ticket. Your luck's pretty good.
You can kill this whole batch of zombified piglins without any of them getting angry. You just need to be precise. Since if you were to kill this mob in one hit, then it doesn't have the chance to update the universal aggression tag on the other monsters. That means with a strong enough weapon and a critical hit, you don't have to worry about upsetting the pack when you pick off a few.
This is an iron golem, and this is the love golem. If you put together 4 iron blocks and a carved pumpkin on top, you'll of course get the love golem. Exclusively found in the Love and Hugs update, this special mob is meant to be a manifestation of the villagers' love, and that's probably the reason why it's passive toward any players or even hostile mobs. Which, yeah, does mean that it doesn't do much, but in fairness, we can't attack mobs in this joke update either, so at least it's not alone.
It's impossible to turn a squid upside down with a Dinnerbone name tag. Now don't be mistaken, you can still name a squid Dinnerbone or Grum, but you won't see any visual difference. Even Mojang doesn't know which way's the right way up for this mob. It's just that silly.
The Warden's a strong mob, but just how strong is it? Well, it's so strong that if you were to add up the health of the Ender Dragon and the Wither combined, that's how many hearts the Warden has. Folks, that's 250 hearts of health for this one Warden. So you remember the fact that the Wither on Bedrock has 300 hearts. And sorry to any Bedrock players out there, that just sounds terrible to deal with. If you look closely at certain villagers' heads, you'll notice they might be wearing some pretty weird hats. Like the Librarian villager, for instance, which, while it might look like a fez, actually is a book when you look at it from the right angle. And while it might look like the Swamp villager has a bonnet on or something like that, it's actually just a lily pad just splayed over the top of their head, which honestly makes me jealous. I wish I could wear these as well. And if you're jealous of their style, don't worry. With the /item replace command, you could also wear those kind of books as hats as well.
This is an Elder Guardian, and this is the Elder Guardian Ghost. Exclusive just to Bedrock Edition, this secret mob can only be spawned in using the summon command. But what does it do? Well, clearly not much. It doesn't even have a texture, and all that you're able to see is its shadow. Eerie.
In the April Fool's snapshot for the 1 block at a time update, if you were to summon in an Iron Golem using this special name, then you'd notice that Lily Belong has its arms permanently extended into the air, which is actually a reference to one of the developers that works on Minecraft, which is an odd way to be memorialized, but it's not like the Dinnerbone name tag makes any more sense anyway. Even though the Allay made it into Minecraft during the Wild update, it was originally planned all the way back for the Nether update. Although back then, it would have been called the Wisp, and it would have had a much different look. Even when it was renamed to the Allay and it was planned to be added in, there could have been different colors that we saw for the mob, which I'll say I'm disappointed that we didn't see. But you can find a yellow Allay that shows up in the Minecraft Legends trailer, so I guess the idea is still there.
Hopefully you've never let all the villagers die during a raid, but if you did, here's what you'd see. After all the villagers are gone or the beds in the village are destroyed, the raiding Vindicators will celebrate their victory by laughing and then raising their arms into the air, which really adds insult to injury. So to keep your village and your ego intact, just stay away if you have the bad omen effect.
Obviously, piglins don't exist, but their sound effects do come from a special kind of Swedish pig, the Linderotsvin, which when you read that out loud, it's easy to see why they went with the name Piglin. Even with Google Translate, I'm not entirely sure how to say that one. This Minecraft mob has no AI, and the reason for that is because that's your job. You see, in the Education Edition for Minecraft, this robot called the Agent is a mob that's specifically designed to teach players how to code. And with that, you can teach this mob to do different things like harvest your crops, place blocks, and a whole number of other things, which is a lot cooler than just looking at Microsoft Visual Studio, so I'll take that trade-off.
You can't shear a baby sheep, but with a command you can summon a baby that's been sheared, and it looks pretty cursed. Plus it really shows how long the sheep's head is under all that wool, and no amount of wool blocks is worth having to look at this sad sight.
Did you know creepers are aliens? Well, not all of them, but this one certainly is. Since, thanks to an experiment done by the University of Southampton, students were able to send personal belongings into space, and one of those students sent a creeper. So when you look up into space, just know that somewhere out there was a creeper, and thankfully it didn't explode on the way out. Otherwise that wouldn't be as fun of a fact.
The reason parrots dance when you play a music disc is because of the party emojis animation, which itself is based on this iconic gif of a kakapo, or owl parrot, dancing. This mob still isn't in Minecraft, but back when the creator was developing it, he talked about adding in a special red dragon that could exist outside of the end. And while it's unclear if this mob will be added in since the creator's departure in 2014, Gem has mentioned that if it were to be added, it would be tied to the dragon egg you get from the current dragon fight.
The reason that wandering traders were added to Minecraft was because of inspiration from other various RPGs. And one of the game's designers even confirms this in the article, Meet the Wandering Trader, which would be why you could find these incredibly dangerous places, since they're meant to help offer you some kind of healing item like they do in the RPGs. Although it's hard to say that their items are nearly as desirable as the ones found in the other games.
If you ever see a chicken in the ocean, count yourself lucky, since there's a very small chance of a drowned mob being able to spawn on the back of a chicken like a baby zombie does. And besides, it's obvious they were forced there. It doesn't seem that the chicken likes the water very much anyway.
In Bedrock Edition, it's possible to keep parrots on your shoulder when you take flight with an elytra. Or rather, I should say, you're keeping them around where your shoulders should be, since when you look at it from this angle, it really just looks like they're hovering in place, which is a bit peculiar, but they're at least more loyal than the ones in Java Edition, who bail on you when you start to get any kind of speed. This villager was never seen in Minecraft, but if you go within the game's files, there sure enough is an unused texture for the angry villager mob, featuring red eyes and angry eyebrows. And even though villagers can still get mad in the game if you were to punch them, even with all those particles, it's still not nearly as intimidating as one of these. But what do you think is the strongest mob in Minecraft? Well, it might seem like the Warden, considering that it only takes 3 hits to kill you in full netherite enchanted armor. The crown for this would actually go to the charged creeper, considering that on hard difficulties, this can do 127 damage. And for that much, you probably want to have a good set of blast protection armor, or at least a Totem of Undying as a backup call.
The bee was supposed to be much smaller. As shown in this official video put out by Mojang, an early design for the bee would have had it closer in size to the baby turtle, but that's still more appealing than its first design. And when you can't tell if you're looking at the bee's front or its rear, you know you've got to change the look.
This isn't a villager, but I wouldn't blame you if you thought so. But rather, this mob is called the NPC, and it only exists within the Education Edition. While these do share a lot of visual similarities to the villager, they're actually a mob that exists only for map makers to make special qualifications, like having text pop-ups or even buttons to press that summon different commands. It's pretty cool, but if you don't add those, they have no AI and basically useless.
If you're running away from a piglin, don't bother closing that door. Since shocking as it may be, piglins are actually smart enough to open up doors. There aren't even doors that spawn in the nether. How did they learn to do that? So for your safety, stick to trapdoors and fence gates. They can't figure those out yet.
In current versions of Minecraft, there's no way for the Ender Dragon to defeat the Warden. And that makes the biggest boss in Minecraft really feel like a lightweight, especially considering that with enough Wardens, you were once able to blast the Ender Dragon completely off course, making the final boss of Minecraft feel a lot more like an afterthought. Although goats in Minecraft can tend to break off their horns when they run into a wall, that's not actually based on anything in real life, because the truth is that goats' horns are actually a part of the animal's skull. So if they were to break off, the goat would have bigger problems. And really, this behavior in Minecraft much more closely resembles a deer with its antlers.
If you put a camel inside of a minecart, it'll start playing its running animation indefinitely, which might make this the cheapest perpetual motion machine to make. It's at least the weirdest one I've seen, but if you have a saddle, you can also join in on the fun, so at least it's not exclusionary.
This isn't Steve, but actually this is the unused human mob from Minecraft. Back in early developments of the game, there did exist a hostile mob that looked identical to Steve, but even though they were hostile, it's hard to say that they were intimidating, considering that spawning these in would just cause them to move around all janky. And when you watch that old footage, I think it's plenty clear to see why they removed them from the game.
In the past, it was possible to damage the Ender Dragon with snowballs, which makes sense for the blaze, but it's a lot weirder to see this happen against the dragon. And Mojang agreed, since as of snapshot 15W32A, the dragon no longer takes damage from snowballs. But don't worry, they're still worth keeping around for taking out the end crystals.
Alright, pop quiz. Have you ever heard of the Minecraft mob, the Spark? If you haven't, then you probably haven't looked at the game's files, considering that only there's the Shulker's bullet called the Spark. But other than that, how would you even know this? It's not like it spawns with a name tag or anything. But there you go, now you got something for your next Minecraft trivia night.
The Ender Dragon doesn't breathe fire, but it does have fire aspect. And you'll see that if you try to shoot a perched dragon with a bow and arrow, this time instead of your arrows colliding, they'll just bounce off. And just in case having your arrows bounce off wasn't enough of a reason to stop, the fire really makes it obvious to cut it out.
Before horses were added to Minecraft, there were horses. Notice the quotation marks, because these special mobs were only in the Java Edition snapshots for the April Fool's update, and they were really just retextured cows and pigs, which did make for a good joke, but shortly after, Mojang worked with Dr. Jark to add in proper horses into the game, and thankfully they didn't look like this.
Why is this wolf's tail spinning? It's not a glitch, but instead this is because the wolf's tail is linked to its health, so low health equals a lower tail, but the opposite also applies. So if you use commands to artificially increase the wolf's health, it'll start spinning like this. And thankfully it doesn't spin fast enough for the wolf to up and fly away. Then we'd have a real problem on our hands.
Using this command, we're able to summon in a special wolf called Mars, which is a mob so rare, it only exists in the April Fool's version of the 1 block at a time update. But much like the special name tag for the rabbit variant named Toast, this gives you a different colored variant on the standard wolf skin. And hopefully this hints at getting different breeds of wolves added into the future. It wouldn't be the first time they took a feature from April Fool's and made it official. Did you know there could have been a 4th frog variant? Because looking at concept art for the frog before it was added in, there did exist a special blue frog that could have been added as well. Which if you ask me is a huge missed opportunity for not adding this in. At the very least, it could could have given us another color of frog light, which it's always nice to have another building block. But really, even if this frog didn't get added in, at least all the ones that we have look so much better than the original frog texture. Ugh, that one's hideous. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so see if they're right and have a good one, alright?
Have you ever gone out of your way to collect coins in Mario? You probably haven't, and why should you? Most Mario games put them in hard-to-reach spots or hidden inside blocks, and when the game rewards you with so many 1-ups, actively going for 100 of these things for 1 extra life isn't really worth it. But what if you tried to collect all of them and beat the game? That's what we're here to find out today. The goal is to play every stage until Final Bowser, and we must grab every single coin, including those inside blocks, P-switches and any surrounding coins it creates, red coins, and every star coin. The only coins we won't count are from enemies, simply because there's so many inconsistencies with coins respawning, and certain enemies having coins and others not. So let's get to it with 1-1. 30 seconds in, I pondered if this was going to be a cakewalk or not, but then I hit underground and saw my mortal enemy, P-switches. Okay, it really wasn't that bad. It did take a couple tries to nab all the coins, but it was all good. Then I ran into these coin blocks you have to pound over and over, and remembered that you get a burst of 5 coins when you empty the block out. That doesn't sound so bad, right? Well, try doing this with 2 death pits side by side. No matter how quickly I moved, I always lost a couple coins, and I thought I was stumped at level 1-1 from a block. But alas, Mario Bros. Wii has a future to save the day. Multiplayer. Now, I don't have anyone nearby to play with, but I whipped out another controller, played the whole level again, got to this block, and then... What the fu- Okay, so now I get godlike luck? After all of that, I discovered the flowers on the grounds also have coins in them. So that means I had to go all the way back to the beginning to get the coins I missed and finally beat the level. 1-2 involved a ton of brick breaking since I didn't know which bricks had coins and which didn't. There was a P-switch room too, but it was pretty easy. 1-3 was no problem as well, but I've come to the conclusion that these flowers suck. Having to constantly stop to get one measly coin from every flower is just monotonous and boring. After getting the alt route in 1-3, I unlocked the cannon and decided to check if there were coins there because I've never really paid attention until now. And lo and behold, there are a few stragglers. So to keep things moving smoothly, every single cannon level in this game is possible, if that wasn't already obvious. Next was one mid-castle. Around the end there was a split path. The left side had a few regular coins while the right had a star coin. As one player, it's impossible to get both at the same time, but I just used Luigi and swapped controllers to nab them all. 1-4 is a slow-going level, but also pretty simple. And the same goes for 1-5. A lot of these levels just don't have a lot to write home about. 1-6 has a P-switch that I thought was going to spawn a million coins and ruin my chances, but no, it spawns like 20, and it's easy peasy. 1 castle was simple enough until I went for the 3rd star coin. I used the P-switch and got all the coins, but now there's a bunch of coins hovering right above the lava. For one guy, this makes this impossible, but Luigi was nice enough to volunteer and basically jump into a few coins, die, and repeat the process till he got all of them. What a nice guy. And that's it for World 1, so now on to World 2. 2-1's only struggle is with this coin block, since the spray of coins kept falling down the death pit, but with good RNG and putting Luigi in the right spot, I was able to nab all these eventually. 2-2 seemed to be okay too, until I hit this P-switch on the way to the 1st star coin. Yeah, let's come back to this later. 2-3 is a really dark level, but with some patience, it's pretty easy to grab all the coins. 2 mid-castle was more of the same, nothing too challenging. Upon entering 2-4, there's a huge problem. Not only is there annoying wind to deal with, but there's tons of coins flying through the air. And even with 4 players, it would be a crazy task to grab every coin in the air on top of the ones on the ground. So is this it? Does our journey of collecting every coin end here? Well, I'm actually gonna say no, and that the coins in the air don't count. And I have a reason for this, trust me. The fact of the matter is that these coins infinitely respawn, unlike all the other coins in the game. so not even a taskbot could complete this. For the sake of playing through more levels, and for those that still think my journey should end here or I should just take a cannon instead, I've made a compromise to avoid all the coins in the air while also collecting the coins on the ground. And my god, was this stupid hard. I can't even begin to explain the frustration I had to pull this crap off. It was so easy to mess up because the coins in the wind always seemed to get in my way no matter what I did. But after hundreds and hundreds of tries, I did eventually beat this. So after that nonsense, 2-5 was a lot easier. Lakitu was kind of annoying to deal with, considering how many coins there were in the sky, but it was a simple level. 2-6 has a P-switch section where you have to basically play perfect to get all the blue and yellow coins from the bricks, but it's definitely possible. Now 2 Castle was an overtaking. There's a section where there's tons of coins near the lava, so what I had to do was use the propeller suit to very carefully grab them while staying alive at the same time. It took forever to learn the timing and to practice it, but I was able to grab them all. Thank God this level gives you tons of time to work with. And would you look at that? That's all the levels in World 2. We will come back to level 2-2 later, but now to World 3. 3-1 is a nice simple start. The coins are all easy to grab here. And the same goes for 3-2 as well as 3-3. 3 Ghost House was quite the doozy when going for the alt route near the end. There's a room where the floor slowly falls to the ground, but also has moments where it shoots down to the ground too. The coins are spread all over this room too, so it's impossible with one person. So I had Luigi by my side, and I basically had to memorize where all the coins were going to be to do this. And after some tries, I eventually got it. 3 Mid Castle wasn't too bad. I did have to be quick when the spikes came in, but otherwise it was more than doable. 3-4 and 3-5 are the levels where you have to play through with and without enabling the red switch, but both of them were a cakewalk. 3-5 did look impossible because it's an air-based auto-scroller, but moving quickly denied the worries. And now to 3 Castle, and my god, this level is brutal. This is one of those snake block auto-scrollers, and near the beginning is a coin block. This coin block is the reason I about went insane playing this. Trying to get all the coins, including the burst at the end, requires stupidly fast and precise movement. What I had to do was jump early, twirl and hit the block perfectly, and land just as the block came in. Then I had to spam jump with perfect inputs, grab the burst of coins with barely enough time to spare. But we aren't done there. I had to grab more coins in the air, ground pound on this block for a coin, and run through this spike part without completely dying or messing up. And then after that, there's even more coins above this pile of spikes that I wasn't able to get without a propeller suit, which I had to sacrifice earlier. So what was I supposed to do? Well, I would have been screwed if I didn't have Luigi behind me, so I just used his propeller suit and got the rest of the coins. And that is all for World 3. Now before tackling World 4, we need to visit our old pal 2-2. I waited to do this because I knew I needed the penguin suit to have a chance, and you can't get that power up until World 3. What I have to do is emulate that crazy hint movie where you use 4 players to grab all the P-switch coins. Now me controlling 4 players, that can't be done, right? That's right, I actually pulled this crap off on my own. It was like a crazy science experiment doing this, but now we know that 2-2 is possible. So on to 4-1. It wasn't too shabby, but I had to move fast considering I barely made it in time. 4-2 was also easy and one of the more fun levels to play through. 4-3 was a knockout too until these last 3 coins. They're placed higher than they look. Basically, I had to do a triple jump off this tree to reach them. And honestly, the rest of World 4 is easy. 4 Mid Castle has very few coins. 4-4 has a stingy P-switch block, but it's not that hard. 4 Ghost House has some hard to reach coins, but they're more than possible. 4-5 is an easy Lakitu level. 4 Castle is much easier than 3 Castle, and 4 Airship is also pretty simple. And that's everything in World 4. It was all just kind of a walk in the park. So on to World 5. 5-1 reintroduces those freaking flowers. I mean, it's not like they're hard or anything, but they're just a pain to collect individually. But anyway, on to 5-2. It's a cakewalk even with all these wigglers around. 5 Mid Castle is also no problem as long as you're patient with the spikes moving back and forth. 5-3 and 5-4 were both pretty easy to knock out too. 5 Ghost House was really annoying to get through because it has so many bricks to break. It took forever to break them all. There was one coin block in particular that's put in a spot where you can't ground pound it, and you can't jump underneath it either without dying. Now it is possible with a propeller suit, but even then, this this level was just really tedious to get through. 5-5 may look intimidating, but it's actually not that bad with a propeller suit. The ending with the POW block is a bit challenging, but it's more than manageable. 5 Castle wasn't an issue either. I just needed to watch out for the fireballs. And that's everything in World 5. Again, most of these levels were a breeze. But now on to 6-1 from World 6. There's a challenging P-switch section, but besides that, it's no problem. 6-2 was a breeze until I got to this third star coin. The star coin itself wasn't the problem, it was collecting the coins surrounding it. I mean, look how many there are. So I tried for probably 15 minutes and I always found myself missing a few every single time. And I was about to give up until I decided to try it with a running start. And this actually made a subtle enough difference. After a few tries with this strategy, I managed to barely grab all the coins. I'm still surprised this was even possible. 6-3 had some annoying piranha plants, but getting all the coins was simple enough. 6-4 was possible too, and it was a fun level to run through. 6 Mid Castle is more of the same. There were very few coins to grab. 6-5 had the Porky Puffer, but with well-timed jumps, he wasn't too much of a nuisance. Now 6-6 was just evil, no pun intended. It's a dark auto-scroller where you sit on the raft most of the time. Now my biggest hurdle, like most of these other levels, was a pesky coin block. This coin block in particular seemed to have more coins crammed in than usual, because my